only on ethics regulation and diversity, inclusion and equality. We're going to be talking about our experience as long-standing practitioners too. As a supervisor, I find I often have to remind my supervisees that we're human beings, not human doings. And then I have to remind myself about how my thinking about being has changed over the years. In 1991, yes, I'm that old, I met my first coach, a transformational coach, and I was so excited because I was going to meet someone who was going to give me the possibility to show me what I needed to do to fix myself. I was so excited. It was a group coaching and he was going to tell me what I needed to do. And I was really, really, really upset when he started talking about something called ontology, a word I'd never come across before, but apparently it was to do with being, like who are you being in each moment? And that was not what I thought I'd come to get the coaching for. I have to say that his coaching changed my life and inspired me to become a coach. And I have been mentoring, supervising and training coaches ever since then around the world. And so often being and doing are present in every coaching session and every supervision session. So think back. Do you remember your very first session? Your very first coaching session, mentoring session, supervision session, when you were the coach, you were the mentor, you were the supervisor. What do you remember about it? Do you remember how you felt? Do you remember the client, their name, what they were like? Do you remember the techniques that you used? Most probably at the time, with your very first client, you were thinking about what you were going to do. You were probably not thinking about who you were being in that moment. But who were you being, and who are you being now as a practitioner? Edna Murdoch famously says, who you are is how you coach. Some of Edna's work is informed by Otto Schwammer's work at the Presencing Institute, some of which you may be aware of his work on presence and interference with presence. Interference often is what psychologists call self-protection mechanisms. Some of you may be aware of the work of Shirzad Shamini on self-protection mechanisms, the psychologist who did so much research on what he calls internal saboteurs. And many of us in our training and in our practice are aware of cognitive biases, except when we're not aware of our cognitive biases. And our inner and outer worlds may also be informed by our own spiritual practices. So who you are being as a practitioner shapes or sabotages your impact, not just with the people you're working with, but more systemically out there in the world. So it's a big topic, lots to explore. I'm going to start with a few questions. My first question is to Leila. I didn't tell them what order I was going to ask the questions deliberately. So Leila, how is our presence and internal system or instrument supporting or sabotaging our impact?
Good morning, everyone. I think for me, when I reflect on this aspect of presence about internal systems, throughout my journey in life, I've struggled with self-care on and off because I used to be such a doer. I didn't know anything about being because I was just results-oriented and so focused on achieving and moving forward and stuff. And I was burnt many times. And I had burnouts throughout my professional journey, which got me into exploring self-care, like really deep, as a deep practitioner when it comes to self-care. So when I left my corporate role 13 years ago because of a burnout. So that really got me interested in my presence, how do I take care of myself, not just on a spa day, which I love doing, but beyond having a day to go to the spa, but it's how do I take care of my internal system. We were talking about self-regulation, and one of the things for me that is really important is how do I take care of my internal landscape. For me as a human being, but also how am I being in presence of other clients and their own systems. And I've had times when my presence and being supported that, and I had times when that actually sabotaged that. And an example being when I'm actually overbooked because I'm just cramming so many coaching and supervision sessions and coaching education and coaching supervision. It's how do I show up when I am in front of a client, when I'm actually super tired and I'm looking at my calendar and I've got so many sessions, and I'm sure we can all be guilty of that when we just want to push ourselves, yes, one more session and one more session, I mean, yeah, I can do that, but little did I know and little did I think about how is my presence impacting that energetically, not from a cognitive perspective, but from an energetic perspective. And when I experience the times when I've been fully energetic and fully rested and relaxed, is when I'm just showing up in a session so relaxed and so grounded, and that actually impacts whether it's an in-person session or a virtual session. And it just brings that level of anxiety, and energetically it shifts, and it helps my client to co-regulate as well. And that's when we talk about the principle of flow. It's like when the session just flows by, and then it's like, boom, okay, yeah, we're 10 minutes into the session. But I've also equally had times where I show up into a session where maybe I didn't have a good night's sleep, or maybe I've got a full day ahead of me. It's like, oh my God, I'm just going to keep pushing through. And that actually presence is impacting the space and the energetic field that I'm in, because then I might be missing out on some words said or not said. Energetically, I'm not tuned into the subtle nuances that my client may be bringing or may not be bringing. So for me, when I look at my way of being and checking in with the internal landscape, is really how am I taking care of that? How am I actually showing up to be in service? We're all in this profession because we love supporting our clients, being in service, but how am I actually doing that also ethically? Am I showing up to be really in service of my clients and their organizations and their systems by taking care of myself so that I can support? Because I believe that I can't offer what I don't have. So when I'm taking care of my own internal systems and my own well-being and my own energetic field, only then will I be able to be in service to the collective.
Thank you very much, Shayla. So awareness actually starts before the session, but also what are we not aware of? What else is happening that we might be unaware of? Alberto, the word that stands out for many people in the title of our panel today is the word quietly. So some of what shapes our being is fully visible to us, but a lot of it is not. Where do you think those quieter influences come from, and what should we be paying attention to?
Thank you, Joy. Good afternoon, everyone. For me, one of the main words of the panel today is quality. This is something that is subtle and is over there, and we have to identify. Let me give you an example. I was 2 years ago running a mentoring and coaching program for entrepreneurs in a rural area near my hometown, well, not my hometown, the city that I grew up. And one of my best friends, let's call him Charles. Carlos is a very experienced mentor. He's working with high-tech accelerators, etc. And I talked to him and I told him, okay, do you want to come to mentoring with in the rural areas? And he said, yes, I love to. And we engaged him in 30 people with, and in the second round of the sessions, we conduct quality assurance, and we found out that 80% of the people liked him a lot, that 20% was not very happy with them. And Carlos is very renowned mentor, he's very known, he's famous over there. And I talked with the 30 people that were in the program, and what we identified is like Carlos was very well technically, but somehow when it comes to a specific point, 20% of them were not real connecting with him. So Carlos was not delivering accordingly what we expected. And that made me thought that we are thinking about our biases. And I think we know our biases. We work with them, we work in supervision, we speak our biases with our colleagues, we are self-analyzing ourselves. But at the end, I would say that there is also two types of biases that I call inner biases that are affecting the way that we say deliver. And the first kind of biases are the ones that are inner to ourselves. That it will come up, but they are deep in ourselves.